Okay, so that's the best dress, but like we all kind of alluded to, these are rock stars, and they often will push the boundaries. And the Grammys, we know, they are known for people who are perhaps more daring when it comes to fashion. So we're going to talk now about our risk takers. So Meredith, who took a risk for you on the red carpet, and then did it pay off, do you think?
Lil Nas X, and yes, it did. When he showed up in Balmain, I just thought, okay, this is an angelic warrior moment for him. And what I love in particular about this, I mean, obviously you look at the detail, but then that intention with the butterfly in terms of rebirth and that stacked shoe that all just goes together in such a beautiful way, making him not so Lil on the carpet, let's be real. He was towering. But what's cool about him in particular is when, I almost didn't want to put him as risk taker, I wanted to put him as best dressed, because when he takes the risks, it takes the risks off of everybody else.
Yeah,
like, to me, that is
point.
actually just a best dressed moment, as opposed to having to be a risk taker. He's got a little bit of electric blue eyeshadow going on.
Yeah.
He's got his grill. I just think he's moving the bar in so many ways, and fashion is one
But
of
to
them.
your point about earlier, but all of your points about a nod to previous superstars, that's also very Elvis Presley.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
So there's a
Yes.
bridging of the past, the present, and the future that is embodied in this artist.
Totally.
And I think that butterfly is a symbol for him, right?
Oh,
Just
for
coming
sure.
right out.
Coming out,
Oh,
birth,
yeah.
growth, and all the other outfits he wore on stage too.
Yeah.
Like, can I just say this, please? Lil Nas X Super Bowl. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
that's
that's
coming
coming
in
in
the
the
universe.
future.
I love it.
I wanna
Put that
see it.
out there.
So I felt that the Biebers were risk takers, and you know, like I'm not into couples doing a super matchy look, but these two look like they didn't even talk beforehand at all. Because she's wearing this very simple classic ivory gown. It almost looks a little bit wedding-ish, very classic model, and he's wearing a very oversized suit and a pink
Is it
hat.
oversized?
I mean, and his shoes. You're not really getting a good grip on the shoes. The shoes are quite something as well. And I mean, it did seem like a nod, speaking of nods, to David Byrne from the Talking Heads, who, of course, wore that oversized suit. It became a classic when it was made fun of on Saturday Night Live back in the day. So he was doing a nod for sure, but I'm not sure as a couple that this risk paid off. But you know what? We're talking about it. So I think it was the effect that he wanted.
Yeah,
right?
you know, he wore a pink hat, and we know that pink was all the rage for a lot of that sort of bright pink.
Yeah.
So he was on trend-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wore that toque. That toque, eh?
That toque, eh?
He brought that toque to the carpet.
I don't know, he looked comfortable.
Yeah, he did.
He
You're
looked
right.
comfortable.
He might have been hiding someone inside of his pants.
Yes,
but,
this is
you know,
true.
yes.
This is true.
I don't know how much of a risk my pick is. Maybe for some corners of the world, this dress, I picked it because it's a throwback to all of us who remember the 90s and a classic Versace collection.
Oh, yeah.
So Dua Lipa going Versace. In the 1992, Johnny sent out all the supermodels down that runway. We all remember, right?
Oh, yeah.
The
Burned
bondage
in the
look.
brain.
That's right. And she brought it back. So the risk, I guess, for some people, the very conservative people about bondage, I guess. But for me, I just think this is such, I love this collection. I love this look. I love the neck piece. And she's newly blonde. To me, there's nothing wrong with this. This is perfection.
I think it might be a wig, but just saying. But anyway, I dig it. Whatever is happening, I dig it. And her and Megan Thee Stallion with their matchy-matchy on the stage in Versace.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
The
Donatella.
Versace
How
coming in
lovely.
strong.
Yeah.
I know. They
Yeah.
brought her all the way in
Right.
for that one quick
moment.
skirt moment.
Yeah.
Okay, who took a risk for me? I saw her and I was so perplexed. I said, oh, that's a risk because I don't know what I'm looking at. That would be Billie Eilish. She walked in and I said, oh, dress, jacket, trench coat? What is this? So I'm confused. Only Billie Eilish could pull this off, and she did, I think. But it was
yeah,
also still
is it
90s
like-
as well.
Is that the collar in the front? And then was
Yeah.
there
Well,
a
when you
cut?
see her turn
Yeah,
around,
right?
then you
Yeah.
do have more questions. Because
Yeah.
you're right. You're like, is that a collar? So this is a Rick Owens piece. It is still very 90s. The hair is very 90s. The glasses are very 90s. The chunky boots are very 90s. And this continues with Billie Eilish. As we know, she likes to wear baggy clothes. She says, I don't want people to talk about my body, so I'm not going to show my body. Good for her. I think it's a real fashion-forward movement that really only she can pull off. So good for her.
At least she took it off before she got wet in her performance.
Yes, yes.
Like,
she was just jeans and a T-shirt.
Don't get the designers wet.
Leave the couture dry.
Leave the couture dry,
The
exactly.
couture dry, lovey. We're gonna